Freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slave.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on Guerrilla Media Network and on 1340 AM. Also, don't forget you can listen live and also all the different several shows in the archives if you go to my website www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Today's show, as you know, Love, Guns, and Freedom, now it is a 3-hour show, and I've tried to share different type of topics. The first hour we talk about rights, we talk about legislation and also legislators, and now we can interact with them, and now we can help them if they need the help, if they deserve the help. And the goal is to work together to regain our rights. Simple as that. This is not a kiss butt show. We're not here to try to become any type of political official voice. I believe that everybody deserves respect when this respect is earned. And I'm the first one to publicly, I don't want to use the word attack, but at least expose politicians. I don't care if they're in the state, county, city, or of course federal, who pretty much betrayed the trust of the people. And when I say the trust of the people means, we don't need to agree on everything. But if you run for your campaign and your political position and your political issues, you must pretty much keep your word to your constituents. I ask for honesty. I don't ask to agree for everything. And sometimes I have more respect for people that they are maybe on the other side of the aisle, because even I don't vote for them, I don't like them, I would never support them, but at least I know where they stand. Sometimes instead you find politicians from your side that's supposed to be doing what they said they were going to do, and instead, they betray you. This time is a good politician. I think it's a good man. I don't agree maybe on everything, but he was, in my opinion, one of the best we had in the state of Arizona. I'm talking about Arizona State Senator Crandell, Chester Crandell. Unfortunately, late Senator Crandell, because he died. The 4th of August, unfortunately, he died. And I was able to meet him a couple of times, and I was so pleased to know him, at least his political position on many issues, that I believe that this man will be very sadly missed. And I was able to also record probably his last speech that he held July the 24th in Snowflake, Arizona, during a meeting with different politicians and the constituents, of course. We are at this point in the state of Arizona, like in every other state, our property rights, our individual rights, they're under attack by the federal government and also by international global government. Senator Crandell understood that. He understood what it is, the Agenda 21. He understood what it means, the completely centralization of education or of the decision, and he wanted to bring back to the local government the power to make decisions about everything, starting from education, also your property rights. I believe the guy, he was another important point that I was very proud of him. It was when, he voted for a bill, at least he sponsored a bill in 2014, was SB 1093, which would have required federal law enforcement and other agencies doing business in Arizona to register with the county sheriff. So this federal agency, they could have not done anymore like they're doing now, pretty much do whatever they want. No, they had to register with the county sheriff, because we know very well the county sheriff is the highest authority in the county. This is very important. I pray for his soul, and I hope, I'm sure he's going to be in a better place. At the same time, I pray that many women in the state of Arizona understand what is at stake here, and we need to find more human beings, more people like former Senator, late Senator Chester Crandell. We need to replace him, and his leadership, his example, he must at least show the way to others. And at this point, I would like just to let you pretty much listen to his last words before he died. He died of an accident, supposed to be an accident, at least what the sheriff pretty much came to the conclusion to. And the 4th of July, he was riding his horse. It was a new horse, and supposed to come back home. The 4th of August, and instead he never made it. He never made it back. They found him dead on the ground. And this is also a reminder for us, for everybody's listening here. You know, at the end of the day, we've been given a limited time on this planet. And I think for me, what is important, it is not how much time you have, but how do you spend the opportunity that you have given to stay here in this dimension, in this planet. What are you going to do? What is going to be your legacy? How are you going to try to help your fellow humans? And when I say help, for me, especially when he's a politician, the help that I ask is to leave me alone. The help that I ask is to guarantee and defend ours, individual rights. That's all I'm asking. And that would be the most important thing I really would like from an elected official, an elected representative. And I believe really that Senator Chester Crandell was the perfect example of this type of leadership. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Please listen. And now you can hear from his voice, his last speech of late Senator Chester Crandell.
In the Constitution of Arizona, it says that the legislature, the only responsibility that the legislature has is to appropriate funding for the education, safety, and welfare of the people of the state of Arizona. Okay? It's our job to appropriate. But then you have an initiative that was run by the people that says, okay, from here on out till 2021, you are mandated to fund, without going through the legislature, 2% or the inflation rate forever and ever. How can you hold a body that is reelected every 2 years to something that they have no control over? But that's what our judicial system is doing. And it's not just this. In K-12 education, we have another lawsuit right now between the traditional districts and the charter schools. And what do you think that lawsuit is?
Money.
Exactly right. Charter schools are getting more money per student than district schools. Well, is that really the case? When you look at, you have a tax base that districts can go to the vote of the people, they can get an override, they can bond for buildings. Charter schools can't. Districts get a transportation budget that is paid for by the state legislature. So when you start looking at this, but this is the problem that we have. And so because of that, one of the things that I've authored and got it through last year, got it through the Senate, a 30-0 vote, and I thought I was going, that basically puts transparency into it, that the state legislature, because of how the Constitution is written, has the responsibility to fund education. The state has that responsibility to fund education. And it also says it needs to be done as uniformly as possible. Okay? So if we're paying charter schools on a per-student basis, lump sum for the students they have, don't we have to do the same thing with the districts? And they say, well, how much is that going to be? How much do we get per student? You know, my answer is, that's not my fight. That's between you and the taxpayers of to what you think it can afford. And the next question I asked is, how much money do you think it takes in the state of Arizona to educate a child properly?
For how long?
Well, we do it for 13 years now. How much on a per year basis should it cost?
I'd have to
And I get the same blank look from every educator, every board, and every administrator, because once they come out and says, this is what it's going to cost, they cannot come back to the legislature and ask for more money. These school districts and everybody are on the profit. They want to use the free enterprise, and they want to grow their business. They want to get bigger. They want to get more money. They want to do all of those things at your expense, the taxpayer.
That's why it needs to come back to local control instead of the federal government running it.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And here's one of the things when you talk about local control, because when I talk about this, I say property tax has got to be an issue. The state should have that property tax, and they should give it out on a uniform basis, okay? Because you have some districts right here that passed overrides that have more money than other districts, okay? If you look at the assessed valuation across the state of Arizona, where's most of the assessed valuation?
Phoenix, Tucson.
Okay? And those are the biggest districts because they have the most students, they're getting the most money. And you have some districts like the Saddle Mountain District that don't assess only a part of what the qualifying tax rate is. Why? Because of their high assessed valuation. Should it be wrong for you to pay $4.50 per $100 assessed valuation and Saddle Mountain only pay $2? Shouldn't it be the same? And that's all my bill did. Transparency comes from the state, you get it. The local control comes. When you get the money, I don't care how you spend it. I don't care what you do with it. You can carry it forward. You can plan ahead. You can do whatever you need to do with it. You can put it in the classroom. There's no buckets. It's your money. You spend it.
And be accountable for it.
And the state gets out of the way. Now, to do the accountability, we need to pay on outcome. Okay?
I agree.
Every other business gets paid on outcome. If you go to a business and you want a project made or whatever, do you pay them up front? Or do you wait until the service is done and it's what you want, then do you pay? Why should education be any different? And if you get it to that point, then the state doesn't have to worry about teacher evaluations. They don't have to worry about principal evaluations. They don't have to worry about all of the data collecting, all of the things that they're talking about. All I care about is what students in your school are meeting the outcome that is set by the State Board of Education.
Then the teacher has to be able to teach the way he wants to teach, how and what he wants to teach.
That is a local decision. That's local control. Right now, people think they have local control. You have no local control whatsoever. The state dictates what you do, or the federal government dictates what you do. I want to get the state and the federal government out of your life. But, you know, we have a little law in the Constitution that says you can't have a gift of public funds. What are we funding on right now so that it's not a gift of public funds? Seat time. We pay for seat time. If you have a student sit in the seat for 4 hours a day, you get a full ADM for that student. What is that like? Isn't that kind of like babysitting? We really don't care whether they learn anything, whether they do anything. Just as long as they're in the seat. What I hear at the state legislature on a regular basis, we need to invest in education. We need to invest in the universities. Well, when I do an investment and I put money into it, I expect a return. And if I don't get a return, I pull my money out and I put it someplace else. Shouldn't that the way education should be in the state of Arizona?
Sure.
That's my plan. And that's what I've been working on since I've been down there, and will continue to work on it. Have a question?
Senator Crandell, I'm from Mojave County, but originally I was from Italy. To me, it sounds like a big socialist form of government, this one. And I'm sad because I really like Arizona, the state I chose. But this is not really much different from Obamacare. Because the government, I have no kids, for example, is forced me to pay for somebody else's kids. Like tomorrow they want to force me to pay for somebody else's health care. I know it may be a long shot, but you think it would be possible maybe one day to dream we can rewrite a little part of the Constitution and we should say every family and the churches should take care of your kids.
Hey, we can run an initiative, we can put it on a referendum,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you that education in the United States is more socialistic
Yes.
than anything you've got.
I understand.
And so I'm not sure that it would go. What I think ought to be is that it should go to the free enterprise system, and only the best schools are the ones that stay in existence. And that will happen if you pay on outcome. If you don't protect districts who are not doing the job of what they need to do. Arizona is one of the top school choice states in the United States. We have more choice for parents in here, but our funding formula has not kept up on how to fund what's
That
happening.
was Senator Chester Crandell. His last speech, pretty much his position about education. I would like also to remind Senator Crandell, he was one of the biggest enemy against Common Core. He was a defender of local form of education. He was against any type of centralization, and especially coming from the federal government, imposing on the state and also on the local form of government. Now we'll continue a little bit, and we have another part of his speech that I recorded in date exactly of July the 24th, 2014, just a few days before Senator Crandell died of an accident on his horse. Now we'll talk about illegal immigration. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
I had an opportunity to go down a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, down to a protest down in Oracle because word got out that the federal government was going to transport, I think it was 50 or 60 youth into a center down there. It's a behavioral health center that has a license from Department of Health and Human Services here in the state of Arizona. Now, there's a difference between behavioral health and medical facility, okay? The word, and we found out later was not true, the word came that all these kids that were coming to Arizona had a clean bill of health, that they'd been checked out by doctors and they didn't have any diseases, they didn't have any of this thing. Well, we finally found out later that was not true. They simply took them from the collection center, detention center in Texas, put them on a bus, and we're sending them. We don't know the background of any of those illegals who are coming in. I think there's 14 or 15 gang members now that have been identified in Tucson at the detention center there. The reason I went to that protest is I had several questions I wanted to ask. Number one, who's going to provide the security? This facility sits on public land. And there's a public park camping site that's probably a half a mile from this facility, okay? What control does the state of Arizona have over that license that is a license for behavioral health, and now you're taking and putting in that facility maybe some disease that needs to be taken care of? Who is responsible for the safety? I talked to the county sheriff down there, Pinell County. Do you guys have control? No, it's on public lands, so we have no authority. Only on the road. So if the person gets off of the road, they can't just go willy-nilly through the forest and apprehend or whatever. How do they deal with medical problems? In the past, they took or allowed those who needed medical attention to go into Oracle and go to the medical clinic in Oracle. Are they supervised? Are they attended? Some are, some aren't. Okay? So do you start to see that there's some liability issues that I can see starting to arise in these facilities? And the reason these companies are doing this is because of the money that the federal government is offering to take them on.
How the hell can you stop
Here's the issue. You have, once your taxes paid, you have no control over what the taxes are used for. And they can take it and, well, a lot of the tax money you consider to be tax money that's being spent is actually borrowed money coming from other countries that is going to come back to, be a real... Now, last thing I want to talk about, and we'll move on. Talking about independence. This year, I have a person running against me in the general, and you may have seen his signs. His name is Tom O'Halloran. Tom O'Halloran was at the state legislature a few years back. Tom O'Halloran, when Jake Flake, and I see his picture back there, when Jake Flake was the Speaker of the House, Tom O'Halloran and a couple of other Republicans went into the basement and made a deal with the Democrats and voted for Napolitano's budget, which was, she won the battle, 10% increase in revenue, and in 2008, what was the increase in the state revenue? Less than 2%. And so when that legislature, and I don't know, Kieran, if you were in there or not, had to come back and you had to find $3 or $4 billion to cut because of the bloated, inflated budget that he voted for. Now, he's running as an independent. 2 days before he filed, he changed his party registration from Republican to independent because he knew that he could not win a Republican primary in this district. He lives in Sedona. He's got a good following in Flagstaff and Sedona. 99% of his petitions are signed by Democrats.
Oh.
Almost all of the petitions, the signers on the back, the carrier of the petitions, are members of the Democratic leadership in Coconino County. There was a Democrat that had filed and was going to run and backed out because they made a deal with Tom O'Halloran thinking that they could pick up. Tom Chabin, who I beat in the last election, thanks to you good people, made the comment, it's better to have a moderate Republican in office than a crazy like Chester Crandell.
Oh,
So,
I disagree.
well, I'm just telling you, it's going to be hard fought. He wants to make a name. He wrote an article in the Arizona Wildlife magazine, and you may be able to find it, that basically said, we need to get rid of agriculture, farming and ranching in the state of Arizona, and water needs to be put in riparian habitats. That turns it over to the federal government, and we have no control.
It's Agenda
This
21.
guy thinks he can win on that?
I can tell you, I had one forum with him, and he is running and talking what he thinks the right wants to hear because he's made a deal with the devil. And so you need to be very cautious if he comes into the community and starts talking to groups, because he's going to tell you what he thinks you want to hear, and he's going to vote with the Democrats. Here's the way I look at him getting in office. Okay, have you heard the song, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything? Which side of the fence is he going to caucus with? Is he going to caucus with the Republicans? Will they even let him caucus with the Republicans? If he caucuses with the Democrats, how effective is he going to be as a legislator? So remember the name, Tom O'Halloran. I don't think he's the one that you want to put in office. I have a proven record.
Can you please put on your website the article that you just stated about the control of the agricultural?
Yes.
Because I think it would be very important. Everybody can print it out, and maybe we can have a conversation with him if we have
You bet.
to be so lucky to talk to him.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
you.
you coming. I have literature back there.